Yes, here we go. It is Friday night. Ask the Bus. That is the hashtag. And we'll get through as many of you guys' comments as we can. But of course, when I get Mick on, I'm very intrigued to always get his views. And it's brilliant to have you back on the bus, mate. How's things? It's been a wee while since you've been on. Good to have you back, mate. An early Friday evening. Nobody ever knows when this bus is going to arrive.
Good, mate. All good. It's good to be back on. It's been a couple of weeks, isn't it? So, been looking forward to it.
Good man, good. We will get rid of all that good stuff. We will get all that good stuff done, and then we will crack into what's been another eventful week at Celtic, both on and off the field. There's no two ways about it. Mick always brings a different balance to the debate when it comes to what's going on fan-wise and stuff, so I'm intrigued to get his thoughts. Of course, the tagline tonight is, have we seen, this Celtic movie before? I think that's definitely worth a topic of conversation. And of course, we'll be reflecting on last night's utterly dismal performance, which really did just fucking leave me really, really pissed off, to be honest with you. I know I went on after the game, a couple of beers in and that. I think I was smoking a cigarette still when we went live. But rock and roll, that's all I'm saying. That's all it is. But all that good stuff means give us a wee like. Please do give us a share. I think someone's choked the algorithm. We've not been on as much. But I think we've been reported for something as well, which is fucking annoying because that choked the algorithm stuff. But I think maybe a couple of reports we've had. So if that's going to change how we approach doing these shows, then absolutely fucking not. It is what it is. But if you are watching and you do support the channel and you do want us to have as many watching, then give us a wee like, give us a share, give us a dislike if you want. It all helps the cause. Remember as well, if you've not subscribed, hit subscribe, because the debate on here, whilst you might not agree with it all, will always be lively, it will always be honest, and I like to think it's slightly entertaining as well. I've been doing it for a wee while now, so I'm convinced we're quite entertaining on here. Remember as well, there is the option, if you're one of our regular viewers, to support the channel by doing the Bhoycie Bus membership thing. It's $1.99 a month, totally optional. Our content will always be free. I say always, I mean, fucking show me a check, someone. I'll probably change that pretty quick. I'm only kidding. Remember as well, you can head over to piesports.com. If you're looking for a tasty pastry treat, you'll get 12.5% off at the checkout using the code BUS1888. We've had that discount on there for about 3 years now. In those 3 years, Pie Sports have been now actually popping up now at more and more Scottish football grounds, which is class to see. And it's amazing to think we've still got that support where we can offer you that discount on there. So don't be shy. Have a pie. Right, anyway, enough of all that shite. Mick, how do we start this? The week that was. It's Friday. I think we go for chronological order, mate. Because I think last night's pretty fucking raw. So my take is we rewind a wee bit and we go to the announcement, which was all done, literally on the eve of the game, that the silent protest wouldn't be going ahead. Now, the reason the silent protest wasn't going ahead is because there had been an olive branch, it was described as by Tino in the 16th exchange on Sky Sports. I'm only quoting things. Don't take it personal, anyone. I'm quoting words that were used. An olive branch had been offered by Celtic with regards to a meeting this coming Monday. Now, obviously, that meant some sort of quid pro quo. I don't know if it was that. Those of you who've watched Silence of the Lambs will be familiar with that term. And it was we were to get the meeting, we were to drop the silent protest that was planned. I happen to think the silent protest thing, maybe the feedback hadn't been great, so they had a kind of a way out of doing it anyway. But there's progress in a way as well. And I totally understood Mark's point of view last night when he said, I'm not here, if it was me, I wouldn't be there to chat to them. I've got a desire for them to be removed, and I thought that's what we had initially anyway. But stage one, they might think a meeting's a step in the right direction. My worry is, of course, with these sort of things that are scheduled, is Celtic don't offer the meeting unless they are so prepared for it. And the tools that they have at their disposal, as I've always said, they can be compromising. They won't be afraid to use if needed. And they might actually even have seen a small victory by the fact that the silent protest got quashed or postponed, as the official term I should use, with such ease, with just a meeting planned. Not, we'll still carry on with our protest and we look forward to seeing you Monday sort of vibe. Celtic, I think, will have lapped that up. That's just my personal opinion. Mark, Mick, what is your thoughts, mate? Could be worse comparisons, mate. Could be worse.
Well, that's very true.
It's the judge we're talking about, mate. It's legendary. It's good company to be in, mate. But yeah, I just want your thoughts on the fact that, firstly, Celtic have took 4 weeks or whatever it was to get back to the fans collective open email forum meeting. That was again that timeline that was confirmed by Tino on Sky Sports. And then secondly, what your thought is of the fans collective postponing their protest that was planned last night for 29 minutes. And of course, I then want your thoughts as to what the objective of this meeting is from both the fans collective side, which we want to be behind, and of course, what's the club's objective? I want your take on that as well. So take it away, mate. The floor is yours. Don't worry about taking your talking quicker. That you've got the floor is yours. There's a lot to cover.
No bother, mate. I didn't know anything about what that term that Tino used about an olive branch or whatever on Sky Sports. Right, anybody I know a couple of people in the collective, and it's not been described as that, believe me, and it's not been taken for that either. In terms of the silence being postponed, right? The whole background of the silence was because of the silence of the club. They're not speaking to anybody. They're not, since obviously the open letter, right? 1 to 7 questions asked, and they hadn't heard back from the club since then. That was the whole premise. The silence was basically the number of days that since open letter, the club hadn't come back to anybody. So that was to signify that the 12 minutes was the 12th man. Obviously, that was the first stage. Then the 29 minutes was going to be the last night. That was because it had been 29 days since open fan letter. So it wasn't a case of it was asked to be postponed, whatever. Nothing like that. It's just a case of the collective came to a decision. Right, they've heard back now from the club. We heard back now from the club, so technically it's not a silence anymore. The club has spoken to people, so and it means as a means of cooperation, it just going right. Okay, now you've spoken to us. You've kind of broken silence. We've agreed to a meeting. Right, okay, to play their part basically. Right, well, to play their part, then we'll stop the silence now until after the meeting. Any terms of protest, we'll take up again. Depends on the outcome of the meeting, obviously. That was the right mind of silence. It wasn't. They were told to drop the silence and stuff like that before the meeting. It was just a collective decision to obviously.
What do you think the reason for them stopping it was then? Because that I think that's absolutely fair. There was no negotiation on, look, if we give you this meeting, you negotiate. You're ruling that out completely. I take that at absolute face value, Mick, and I trust you, completely on that. But therefore, that decision was still made, and that then again leads more questions than answers. If it were me, and again, not because my view is more important than anyone else's, mine would be, look forward to seeing you Monday. Our show still goes on in the meantime because nothing at this point's actually changed. It's a prospective meeting. We still carry on with what we've pledged to do to a lot of people who are part of the collective. So what do you think the thinking is then with regards to that as to why they have decided in this instance because of, and they have correlated them both in the one statement, so there has to be a connection somewhere, that this meeting's taken place and yet the planned silence, one of 3, this would have been the second one of 3, has been postponed. Where are we going then with what the reasons for it being postponed are, do you think?
No, I get what you're saying as well, Russell. I don't really mind that point of view as well because I can see the thinking behind it. But obviously, the silence was about the club not speaking to the fans. So when I spoke to the fans since then, obviously there's no silence anymore. They've heard to the club. So as a sort of compromise, it was kind of agreed that the silence would be stopped in the meantime because obviously they heard from the club, so there's no silence to the club anymore. There's been a bit of the club being in touch. So,
but you said the first silence was the 12th man thing. So surely there's an argument that they'll still do a silent protest. They just come up with a different term for it, a different meaning behind it, and maybe a different timeline for it rather than the 29 minutes, rather than removing it altogether completely, no?
I can see that side of it, but it's just a case of let's say a day to think about it. Right, we can drop it now and see how we go on Monday. That's been the thinking behind it. I mean, it's folk got to remember as well. Folk in the collective have not got a lot of time to think about these things and make decisions because everybody works full time. They've all got families and stuff. So you know what I mean? it's not as if it's somebody's full-time job to decide all this. It's got to be
Yeah.
speaking to the collective as well. So
When you're in that position of power, though, with something, and I don't think that's a bad term. I'm not saying that with any sort of needle whatsoever. But you've been elected, if you like, to this position because of what you're pledging to invest in it. And I would argue and counter all, from my point of view, that looking at it from the outside, and very much, by the way, just to be crystal clear here, I'm of the side of the fans collective here. I might have been in my own singular fan collective of this view 3 fucking years ago, but we're all here now, and I'm 100% behind it. But from the outside looking in, or to play devil's advocate and look at it from a Celtic prism, you could argue that it looks like the first blink has went by the fans collective because they have completely removed the protest altogether. As I say, I get the point. It's redundant if there's 29 days of silence for the board, but they've actually spoke to us. How do we justify that? But you come up with something new. If you still think that silent protests are required, I can see the argument that, well, look, there's a conversation going to happen now. Is it as relevant or as dialed in an action to take as what we perhaps first thought? I get that. But at the same time, what it means is the first offer, and Olive Branch is a quote, mate. I watched it with my own 2 eyes, listened to it with my own 2 ears, mate. I promise. He was sitting in his car talking to Sky Sports. It was Tino. He says Olive Branch, mate. So I can only go by what these people are describing it as. Who are literally front, left, and centre of this, clearly, which, again, good on them. I want sensible people doing this, and he does strike me as a sensible person. But I'm surprised that it's put the whole thing on hold, if you like. And I still think there could have been a statement of intent made to what their intentions are for this board ahead of that meeting on Monday, and for it all to be kind of just paused is maybe my concern. What's your thoughts on that?
But in terms of being a statement before the meeting on Monday?
Well, in terms of doing something that has still goes like remember what this meeting's about. Just because you've called a meeting, we're still going to be showing you loud and clear or silent and quiet what we feel about you, and come up with something. If the 29 days, and I get that 29 minutes, 29 days, is irrelevant because they've got in touch now, but I think surely to keep the momentum of that, because what I worry is, and what it does look to me on X.com, Twitter, as we know it is a lot of fans seeing it as weakness and seeing it as a bit powder puff that they've kind of reneged already on what their pledges were, if you like.
Say that, Russell, it's because it's not been a formal protest. They were still singing against the board last night at the game. Those are all formal protests have been dropped. There's still various songs against the board last night at the game, so it's not as if they're just dropped everything protest, everything's fine now. We'll go and speak to him Monday. There was plenty of singing last night against the board, so there's not been any protest drop. It's just been that method of the silence that's been dropped. There's not been any drop in attitude towards the board or anything between the fans and the fans collective. It's still very much right. We still want change big time, and then we'll see what happens on Monday. But last night we're still singing against the board and everything, so
That's true.
So it's not a case of the protest being dropped now until after Monday.
It just looks a bit more wishy-washy again. Like that's what we were doing before the fans collective. We're now back to that. I'm playing devil's advocate here, by the way, and the reason I'm doing that is because I can think in my mind if I would, or I could try and think if I in my mind how the boards might treat these things. Let's get on to the other question I had for you, mate. What are the objectives you think of this meeting from firstly the fans' point of view, and the fans collective, as you said, you've spoke to a few that are within it. And then secondly, I want you, which I maybe jump in between then, probably. But I want your take also on what the board's purpose for this meeting is and what you think, obviously we can only guess, and what you speculate they're hoping to achieve.
This is just purely my opinion, Russell, right? I think generally the feeling going into the meeting is, for a basic, the collective want all 7 questions answered that was on the letter. Do you know what I mean? The open fan letter. What's that? Oh, Jesus.
My job is to, when we do this Kenny Dalglish Senior, and you're not the real Kenny Dalglish, I've had him on the channel, mate. Don't worry about it. But if anything, I'm the last person to think I am the only. For those that are listening on audio, I've been told I'm not playing devil's advocate. I actually believe everything I'm saying, and I think I'm the only authority on this. Boom. Where to start? It's not at all. It's actually asking direct, decent questions and then trying to play a role of what the other, what the counter to that could be, so we have proper debate. Sorry to interrupt that quickly, Mick, but that comment, I mean, keep watching though, mate, because I'm glad you think I would have such a vibe that I think I'm the only authority on this, mate.
Deranged. No, I was back to what I was saying. I think the basic premise of the meeting is to get the 7 questions answered in the open letter, and then obviously want to see what the plan is going forward, just strategically and at boardroom level, and to show us there's got to be some sort of change at the board level, whether it be personnel, whether it be shifting attitudes, but evidence of that as well. So that's just my one take on it. I don't know specifically what the aims are, but that's what I think is basically is based on the open letter and the seven questions on it. So
I'm just trying to bring up the 7 questions, mate. Let's have a look. Where are the 7 questions? I'm on their Twitter page right now. Is that on Twitter, do you think, the 7 questions?
I don't know, Russell. I don't use Twitter.
No, do you not?
Nah.
Yeah, it's for the best, mate. It's for the best. But yeah, right. So they're wanting to stick to. We had 7 questions planned. We're going to stick to our guns, and we're going to ask them direct to the board and have the opportunity now to see the whites of their eyes and find out whether we believe them or whether we don't, or whether we're getting palmed off or whether we don't, or whether the answers, heaven forbid, actually satisfy them, which I'm really hoping isn't of the mindset. I mean, I think that should be something that's really far down the line, because if you're falling for it, the chances are they're lying. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know, definitely, Russell, but I think a lot of people just have got to trust the people involved in the collective. Obviously, there's people from both ultras groups who have had campaigns with the board and stuff like that, and a lot of dealings with the board. We get people from Celtic Trust, obviously, who have obviously have dealings with the board before, and the FAC is involved as well, who was responsible for repealing the offensive behaviour at Football Act years ago. Obviously, a lot of conversation will come to that point. So these are people that are well used to things like this, and they'll be involved in many campaigns with the club. So there's obviously, but it's not just a case of that. There's a lot of other people on the collective as well, different supporters buses.
Do we know how many representatives would be attending, mate?
Would be attending that, so the meeting on Monday. I think there's 23, but what the...
Wow. Okay.
I don't quote me on it. I think it's each sort of group was invited to take 2 members, sort of thing. But both boys and the Green Brigade have said, no, we'll just take one and let other people come from other organisations to quash any kind of thing about it just being an ultras-led movement when it's...
No, it's far from that.
Nothing's further from the truth. Just because there's been stuff like that online, obviously it's a lot of nonsense, but it's just to get more fans an input into the proceedings, you know what I mean, and see what's going on at the meeting and stuff like that. So I think it is 23. I'm not sure the actual numbers on Monday.
Yeah.
It's 23 in the actual collective, I'm sure.
I thought it was 15. Where am I getting that
from? But it's different.
That's make-up as well.
People involved in the subgroups and that as well, but...
Right, okay.
So
that's interesting, though.
Yeah, so just... It's giving more people opportunities to go to the meeting as well and represent whether a bus or supporters group, whatever, and get their points across as well. So there's a lot of representation at the meeting.
Interesting. So let's flip it, Mick. Without you becoming now the authority on this whole subject, a bit like me, what do you think Celtic are hoping to achieve and what their objectives for the meeting are? Because they are going there with a mindset of, we need to come away with a victory of sorts. But what is the victory that you think they're looking for to achieve?
Well, I don't trust the club whatsoever, Russell, and I think they're just looking for the easiest way out. Simple as that. And they're hoping will just take any answer they're given, and then they'll end the protest here, and then sort of thing. They'll end the collective, and it's not going to happen. Celtic just want us to go away as quick as possible. That is just always exactly what Dan says. Shut us up. Exactly what it is. Do that in the easiest way possible. You know what I mean? Give it back as little as possible, but it's not going to wash, Russell. It's just as simple as that.
What do you think of my theory? And Stephen Creamer's kind of stole it. I was saying it last night. I say stole it. I mean that loosely, Stephen. Of course, it's not based on anything I've said on here. I speculated last night. I think it's just a stab in the dark. No authority involved. No ITK on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling Stephen is right, though. I think there will be, look, guys, we know you're worried, but go just calm it down because Peter's going anyway at the end of the season. This is last year here. There's big changes coming. We're looking ahead. Peter's done so much for the club in his final year. Could you not just tone it down? Because your change is actually coming by default, not because of you protesting. All you're doing is hampering the team, but you're getting your big change anyway. That is generally what my suspicion is. That'll be the big reveal. That Lawwell is stepping away at the end of the season. They're going to disclose that at the meeting earlier than they'd planned to disclose it, but doing it at the meeting as in, look, guys, it's defeatist purposes here for the purpose of the actual team winning matches because he's going anyway. And we know, and Peter will say, I know I get the blame for it all. I can hear him at the meeting. I know I take the full flat for it all, and you always focus me. So don't worry about it because we won't be here. But the reality is, it's all a game of smoke and mirrors. It's all a game of musical chairs. And they will then cherry pick alongside Peter who steps into whatever voids are left as one slides up to one row. The vacant chair will be cherry picked by Lawwell and Co. And I'm sure the guys going to attend the meeting will be obviously of that mindset as well. I've got no doubt about that whatsoever. But that's just my hunch as to what the objective will be, is to absolutely dip this right now, dim it, calm it right down, put a lid on it, because your ultimate goal is already being realised as Peter's away at the end of the season. What do you make of that?
Well, I've got a feeling that Lawwell's stepping down at AGM anyway, so. But it's, just speaking personally, it's not enough for me anyway. I need to see
I agree.
Board restructure and stuff like that. Nicholson and Mackay for me need to go as well. Just say we had a review of the structure of the board and review recruitment, review the scouting and stuff like that. So a lot of the assurances need to put in place, and attitudes towards the fans need to change, and they need to come up with a plan for that as well. So there's a lot of assurances that need to be given before I think it no back off. But is that?
Yeah, just deep frequency bass. I mean, obviously he's into his sounds, and he thinks that the intro song just goes slightly slower when things aren't going well. But he also says, thanks for the brilliant shows over the years, and we really appreciate you saying that, DFP, mate. Appreciate it. Yeah, look, Monday's not far away, Mick. So we can speculate all you want. The proof will be in the pudding when we find out what the outcomes are. What I'm hoping for is that Celtic could take them in places that you will surprise you. They don't show up for these. They don't arrange these things. They don't take 4 weeks to come up with a plan for it, Mick, without having a fucking plan. Yeah. So let's say their initial opening gambit that they think should appease this fans collective movement is rebuffed and rejected. They've got other tools they can use to coax in and try and goad. I'm not saying they'll be successful, ladies and gentlemen. Just so we're clear on that. I am not saying that. But what I'm saying is they will have eyelids they can bat in all different directions, whether it be fans groups. What about the Celtic end? Let's talk about that again. Whether it be fan media, like, I'm guessing, the wee fella, Tino, these people will be one of the loudest voices there because they speak very well. They're eloquent. What about working with you closer and getting... And there's a lot of then individual things that start to try and compromise the mind. It's old hat tactics, mate. It's old hat tactics that will test the resolve, test the character of the individuals that are offered said gifts. This is all hypothetical as well, remember. But do not think if this meeting isn't going the way the board initially planned it for it to, that they don't have other tools they can dip into and produce to try and then sway the majority into backing off, shall we say. I'm not saying that's how it would pan out. I'm sure they're all strong-minded on it, and we're all fighting for the same, or singing for the same hymn sheet, spreadsheet, as Charlie Nicholas said. But don't doubt that they have the tools to make it a pretty fucking difficult afternoon's question. And by the way, as I say, they don't enter into combat for these things, mate, without all the legal advice they need, without serious head-to-head, bashing of heads meetings and working out what they think the chinks in the armour of the collective will be, who, as you've just rightfully said there, it's not even their full-time job. These guys are masters of this sort of shit. And that's why I'm wary. Not because I wanted to go that way in any way, shape or form, but I'm just so wary of what they can bring to the party.
Well, I heard you, Mark, talking about the, pardon me, Celtic end last night, for example, right? See, they done a fan survey, I think it was 2 years ago. Obviously, the survey went out to every season ticket holder, as far as I'm aware, and obviously they fell in a certain part. Would you be willing to take part in the Celtic end of it, or would you see that as a good change for the stadium? They've had those results for over a year, right? That's a fact. So do you think this Celtic end just been dangled all of a sudden? We'll watch the people. So what's like, we've had results for a year, so now you can out it. So
that makes sense though, Mick, no? We're
No,
giving the
but-
results that we don't want to give at a moment where we kind of have to rather than want to.
Yeah, but folk in the collective aren't stupid, Russell. That's
not the point I'm making. What I'm saying is these are tools though that the board have that they can use, yeah?
No, they could. Obviously they could, but think people will trust them with that as well. Because you see,
I would certainly hope not, mate. I would certainly hope not, my man. But these guys are good at this. That's all. I'm only being cautious in the sense of I think, the survey. This is what we've been looking forward to getting you guys in for. This is why we've not announced it. Because you were right, we were wrong. So glad you're here now. We can discuss that as well. All this shit. Fucking trying. And I'm not saying people would be stupid to fall for it either, by the way. I wouldn't even go as far as that. I just think it's so typical of meetings. This is how negotiation goes. At the end of the day, the board don't want to walk. Peter will be the sacrificial lamb. The rest don't want to go anywhere. Peter doesn't want them to go anywhere. So you have to reach a compromise in their mind. So they're going to try and find that.
I think you're overestimating Michael Nicholson a bit as well, in terms of his communication skills. We were at the fans forum, was it May time? And it was obviously a lot of fan reps and stuff like that. And it was Michael Nicholson, Paul Tisdale, and Chris Mackay. And this is how bad Michael Nicholson was, right? He had a presentation with different bullet points on it, the things to discuss at the fans forum. And one of the things at the bottom of it, one of the bullet points was the fan survey. We done all the bullet points. Paul Tisdale done a presentation for maybe half an hour, 40 minutes about recruitment stuff like that, which was pretty interesting in fairness, but because I done separately and get to the fans' questions quicker, do you know what I mean? It was 100% trying to pad the meeting out.
Wear you down.
Exactly. Then, but before the bullet points and stuff, and the fan survey one was at the end. Then he flipped the chat over to try and talk about something else before addressing the fan survey. And one of the boys in the room said, hold on, can we go back a minute? You missed a bullet point there to talk about the fan survey. So this is a couple of folk.
That's quite sleek it, mate, as opposed to being stupid. That's quite sleek it. That's naughty. You won't get away with that in that environment. But I do think it'll be a Lowell production, a Lowell and his lawyers production that you see on Monday. And it is a tough comment, and all we can do is wish them the best and hope that whatever comes their way, when they come out, we'll have far more clarity as to what Celtic's future looks like, and what the next steps are for enforcing further change that will not be offered up on Monday, of course. And I think, by the way, as well, how they react to us, how the meeting went, will go a long way to getting that buy-in, being a more permanent fixture from the masses than not. So it's a crucial time for the fans collective as well. And we can only wish them all the best. Michael, let's get the football. Fuck me, mate. You were there last night, I'm guessing.
No.
Oh, were you not?
Yeah,
Fuck, well,
no,
lucky you. First half. As bad I've seen Celtic. I'm trying to compare. I mean, it's always the worst. The most recent one's always the worst when you see it like that. I have to tell you, mate, that we're watching that football last night. I have to say that was reminiscent of, you could say, Rogers season 3, Dyla season 2. Certainly for me, mate, looked like a team bereft of creativity. That is a one-trick pony right now in Tenecti, who I think is going against the grain with how he's playing right now. And my worry is he becomes conditioned like the rest of that squad. It was utter turgid shite, wasn't it? And again, we had a baffling choice in the lineup of Bernardo, elevated from utterly out in the wilderness to the starting lineup for a crucial European home game. That's on the manager. There's decisions he's making right now that are almost sabotaging and enhancing how bad this season's went so far off the field. He's now managing to mirror it on the field. Is he working his ticket? Is that what this is? And he's trying to get the payoff early? I don't get it. I've got to be honest with you. How you can line the team up like that with some of the individuals. Secondly, how they can go on a first European home game of the season so uninspired and rack up, what is it, their ninth first half of no goals this season so far.
I know it was terrible to watch on it, really. I think Bernardo actually played not too badly, in fairness, but I know what you mean. It's just throwing shit at a wall, basically, and hope it sticks into it, sort of thing. But Engels has not really done much when he came on at any point this season. And Negrin, I don't think he's been good at all, to be honest. So I think Bernardo one was basically just like, give him a shot now. He played not too bad. He came on against Hibs as a sub. He was obviously limited time, obviously, but he was all right. He wasn't any worse than anybody else.
Did you feel like he'd been fast-tracked a bit?
Bernardo,
Like, yeah, but McCowan seems to have been, like, to me, always his more go-to sort of sub. Surely there's like a pecking order and how you do it. I don't know. It feels like Bernardo was thought, fuck, as they fell out or what? And suddenly it's boom, straight into the team. It feels like he's jumped the rungs up the ladder a wee bit quicker, no?
I know, I agree 100% because it was kind of out the boy still, wasn't it? That it was starting. Pardon me. So I definitely agree with you. It was, if you'd done a lineup before, a predicted lineup, Bernardo wouldn't have been in it. You know what I mean? So definitely, I agree with you. But the football last night was, we've seen it like you said, we've seen it too many times this season. It's the same recycle the ball, go back to Scales and Carter Vickers, go out the other side, everything. It's absolutely chronic to watch. And last season we had the quick forward players to play that style and then get to the other end of the park and we could, we'll say, speed things up and more creativity in the team. But there's nothing there up front now. Tenecti was brilliant. I think he's brilliant. He was really, really good again, Tenecti. He was only kind of shining light in the team last night, I thought. But that's what happens when you sell one of your best strikers, Kyogo, and you lose him at goals and assists to the right side that Kuhn gave you. It's just absolutely mental, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe, see when you look at it as well, we brought in Jota for the left. Yes, he's going to be out till January, we suspect, right?
Uh-huh.
But you've got Maeda who can play that. You needed a striker anyway. Go get two, right?
Yep.
And if you're going to sell Nicholas Kuhn on the right and 36, 37 goal contributions last year, make sure you've signed an out-and-out right winger first. Sign two left wingers. It's utter bonkers, mate, to me, because that's going to, at one point, right, come January, we're going to have Maeda, Jota, Tenecti, and Balikwisha all wanting to play on the left. It's bizarre. Yet on the right, we'll still have Forrest and Young. Or one of the aforementioned four out of position.
Oh, definitely, mate. It just sums up the recruitment. That summer there, it was just absolutely abysmal. I mean, and I don't know about Balaquisha. I had my worries about him anyway before we signed him. Because it's a warning sign when you see a player, even a YouTube highlight reel's not even great, you know what I mean? And obviously the injury record as well. But as you said, we've got 4 left wingers now, and Forrest and Yang on the right. All right, Maeda's played their last couple of games, and I thought the weekend he was actually not too bad. But obviously, it's still in that position. He can play there in an emergency. You know, he's got to be our first choice there. It's a shambles, honestly. It's just recruitment's got to be torn up.
How could they have brought in, right? See, because it was obviously late in the window as well, Mick, right? I know we're going back to the window now. But how can you go, though, to sign fucking nobody for the Champions League qualifiers and then go, do you know what? We're going to open the checkbook, spend 10.5 million, let's say it was, on 2 wingers. And not ask one of them. You all right on the right-hand side, by the way? Both of them just seem to be out-and-out default left wingers as to be left or nothing. I honestly cannot believe that. And if that is you're determined to get them, go get a fucking right winger as well then. It is all about sticky plasters, mate. Getting your sellotape, getting, band-aids getting put in that team left, right and centre. They don't know what they're doing. There's no structure to that. There's no strategy to that. And these things, again, would be interesting to be able to call up if you were afforded the chance to meet these pricks, because you could take them at school and stuff like that. It's so basic. I want to bring up Ian Adams' comment, and I'll put it straight to you, Mick, rather than me answering it. I'm 57. I've never known a Celtic team without a goal scorer. We've been blessed with strikers, even in the shit times, with shite teams. I think Iheanacho is a goal scorer, to be fair to him. But he's an out of sorts, out of form, out of playing one. But other than that, Ian's got a point, Mick, no?
I 100% agree. Definitely. And even if you look at Iheanacho playing, who else have we got, really? Maeda's technically a left winger. All right, he can play striker. I think he played a lot of his football in Japan as a striker, but Roger said last season, you need a striker because he doesn't want to play Maeda there. He didn't see him as an option last season. So we technically needed 2 strikers right away from last season. Then that was with Adam Eder, I thought anyway, you know what I mean? Then we sell Eder in the last day of the window, then don't just bring in a free transfer. It's ridiculous. Recruitment's absolutely scandalous, and it's been going back years and years, as you know what I mean? And he's right though, there has been bad Celtic teams before, but we always had goal scorers in the team. And I just thought Ian actually will do a job this season, but can you really see him getting at 25, 30 goals? I don't see it. I just don't see it at all, honestly. No. I think he will score maybe 15, 20 goals at a push, but that's the one striker you'd need to carry the whole season now, or at least till January. And of course, they're all saying is January's a notoriously difficult window to do business in.
Yeah, that's right. Every window's fucking notoriously difficult.
Exactly. And also, if anybody has faith in them getting a striker we need in January and on Cuckoo Land, you know what I mean? That's been proven before.
How much of us doing, like you say, in January and being proactive now actually almost based on Rangers needing to get run results together, or Hearts maintaining what they've got, which I was wishful thinking, to be honest with you, for it to be proper sustained, albeit got to respect how they look so far. Because if not, and Celtic were to canter, and I know we're not even top of the league right now, so hush my mouth a wee bit, but if Celtic were to be 8 points clear, say 8, 9 points clear come January, that's your Groundhog Day coming back. We've seen this Celtic movie before, Mick.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens. They bask in domestic bliss, and a lot of the time, I think, take a hell of a lot of credit and pat himself a hell of a lot in the back for the shortcomings of the competition that we've been up against, to be perfectly frank with you. My worry is, come January, we've got ideas for how the squad should look, what we would need to add to it and stuff. I've got a feeling it's all about looking over that way and seeing where Rangers and Hearts are. You could say where Hearts and Diet Hearts are. I don't know how to describe it now. Such is the difference between the teams. But do you know what I mean? I've not got the faith that this January will be approached of, right, what are the missing pieces of the puzzle? And we'll be really proactive and try and get it. I think a lot of it will be based on the January table looking on the first. And I can't help but feel as well, if it isn't looking great, heaven forbid, say we're still points behind, I think you could end up with another fucking January like the Mowbray January, where I know we got Robbie Keane and it was a great time having him and stuff, but it was absolute powder puff, pointless signing that was just to try and, again, appease the fans. What they didn't realise was they were showing their hand that they had money. But really, and a lot of it. But what they really should have been doing that January was providing your players for the long haul, that we're going to get the 6 months gauge of, they still thought they could salvage the league with short-term things. I think they would do the same this time around. And you get your Demancey Cameras, you get your Robbie Keanes, you get your Braffites and all that, and they just chuck them all in. Look, we've been really busy this time around. There'll all be 6 month loans. There'll be no eye on the long game. And that would be my concern. That I don't see January going the way we would do it, looking at it as a jigsaw and going, right, what are the missing pieces of the puzzle? Who have we been looking at? Who's still on our list? How have they performed the first half of the season? Who's achievable? And who could be add to the squad to tweak these positions and improve them and enhance them?
No, 100% agree. And they've got to throw in the fact that this is probably Rodgers' last season as well. So that's already made excuse for him not to spend money in January. So I know what to give. Obviously, spend money in the team in January, then say your next manager next season might not want to use those players. So that's a get out clause. Something you don't find well they'll use that get out clause. Even look at January. Pardon me. Playing in a tie against Bayern Munich up to January, and we sold our best striker at the time, Kyogo.
We still had 2 Champions League games to go, mate, to seal our Champions League fate, but we were competing.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Sorry, I'm forgetting that. We sold him after Young Boys game, didn't we?
Aye.
Oh, that's right, definitely. So they wrote that game off, and then the January window, Rodgers specifically said I need a striker after Kyogo gone. It's all Bayern Munich, and we're that far ahead in the league. And the kind of attitude was, well, no, we're not going to beat Bayern Munich anyway, so what's the point in spending the money? We're not going to get past them. The league's wrapped up, so we'll just go as we are. Do you know what I mean?
That'll happen again. That'll happen again this January if we've got the lead. I suspect that we might. But yeah, again, it would be. I would find it anyway that we would be in a position where we might be ahead, but we're ahead thanks to how shite the rest are. Not your greatness, not your strategy paying off, not your pre-planning fucking shining and looking fucking amazing. It's nothing to do with that. But they muddy those waters for you, and they show you the evidence of trophies, and they then attach their strategy to that. But those trophies should have been won without a fucking strategy. We need strategy. I could have been the manager of Celtic and fucking won half those trophies. Honestly, they're it's been terrible what they've been up against, and they seem to give themselves far too much credit in the bank for that.
Well, the board 100%. Like they always try to get away with doing an absolute bare minimum every time. And yeah, like I said before, I know it sounds like a broken record at times, but their season ticket prices going up again in the summer. Having to pay for a friendly, having to pay for a qualifier, which we usually got in the ticket. Expecting. A lot is not happy with that, but we kind of thought we'll pay it in good faith that it might have a good transfer window this summer, and then the same old shit happen again. So literally there's zero goodwill toward the board now, and the board know that with these protests and everything. So it'll be interesting to see the outcome Monday, and we may go from there basically. But the board, I'm done with the board. They proved that time and time again, and to me, they're not going to change it. It's just as simple as that. There's no way.
Will there be? Is there a chance that we actually do get rid of this board? And how long a game do you think it would be to play right now? Because here, my take is they're 100% adamant they're going fucking nowhere. Barlow and he's as a retirement token gesture. He'll still be at the end of the phone. He'll still be in situ of some way, shape, or form. Trust me on that. I think they're going to be pretty steadfast in their resolve to not be going. So it's going to be a long game, this, and everyone better get their sleeves rolled up and be ready to be in the trenches for it, because this will not be won short term. But you're absolutely right, mate. I mean, there's just no fucking way that we can go on with these guys in situ, when you can predict, like we just have there, how windows pan out based on a couple of moving factors, and all outcomes are really fucking negative and not progressive and don't enhance the thing that's most important, which is the product in the park.
Definitely. I don't think anybody's involved in this is under any illusions this is going to be a short-term fix and are prepared for a long-term fight with them. That's just a given. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anybody needs to worry about that. But they said they've exhausted all goodwill. It's not even as if they've got good relations with supporters they can fall back on. All right, we messed up the transfer window and stuff, right? Fine. We can maybe look at ways of fixing that, restructure the obviously the recruitment, the scouting team, whatever. We go practical things in the playing side. They don't even get any goodwill with the fans with the lack of communication either. So they get zero goodwill. The fans have just had enough of them and want serious change at boardroom level. And I think it will be a long-term fight. And I think folk are more than prepared for that. So just
keeping the masses, that laser focus. I've got no doubt about the collective. It's keeping the masses on side of that, who, as we know, can be a fickle bunch at the best of the times when it comes to strong opinion. Just one final take off you, Mick, before we head off. That ain't an actual goal, mate. You ever see anything like that? It was actually described on Sky Sports, again, quoting Sky, with Jay Bothroyd and the host as the worst VAR decision of all time. What's your thoughts?
It was scandalous. I don't think it was a handball in the first instance. Then you see the replay. You're like, surely if they're going to look at that again, and the length of time it took as well, it's not as if they've just saw a quick replay and maybe took too little time on it to look at it properly. It was at least a couple of minutes, if not longer, to watch the replay, and it was quite scary to see. It's touching his forehead, it goes right in front of him. So why did VAR even take that long? You know what I mean? So it's absolutely baffling. I don't know. I don't think
the ref never went to even go view it.
No, I know it was strange, wasn't it? He was taking a word of,
and he was standing with their players as well, which I found really odd. Like literally alongside a couple of them, and it feels to me, Sons. Why would it be corrupt in favour of fucking Braga and Portugal? I don't really get that argument either, so I'm not going to try and make it. No. But it felt to me it was a dodgy way to come about achieving a final outcome. Sand didn't sit right with me. Do you know what I mean?
100%. It was just there's no sense to it, is there? There was no handball there. So
no.
We had an interesting explanation after it. Seemed to come out with, and no doubt there'll be apology again. All right, we got it wrong. How many times is this going to happen? You know what I mean?
And we didn't ask the referee to see it because we were that definitive in our call that it was a handball. Based on what?
There's no handball there whatsoever. So it was a shocking decision.
And that just sums things up there, though, doesn't it, as well?
No, definitely. I think we're the only team in plays at home in Europe and never the home as a referee. I mean, for as many years as I can remember, we've always had stinking referees playing at home in Europe. It's baffling. But you're not even looking for favours. You just like the referee it properly. And that was a scandal last night, that disallowed goal. There was literally no handball there. So if you've looked at that, then it'd be interesting to hear the reasoning why that goal was disallowed. What the thinking was behind it, because there's definitely no handball there.
No, I totally agree with you, mate. Totally agree with you. And that just, as I say, sums up where we're at right now, that we're not getting those rubs of the green, as it were. Listen, Mick, it's been brilliant having you on. I look forward to getting you on next week as we react to whatever the outcome may be from the meeting on Monday. I'm really, really intrigued to get your thoughts. Hopefully, we can get you on one midweek next week. I've thoroughly enjoyed the 50-minute episode tonight. It's been fantastic. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. I know a lot you aren't getting notified that when we're live. I can see that in the numbers that are watching. Oh, you're all sick of me, but that's fine. But remember, and if you are subscribed, hit that bell so that you don't miss a show. Because it does look like right now the YouTube algorithm is not on the Bhoycie Bus's side. Anyway, we're getting the fuck out of here. Mick, thanks again, mate. I'll see you next week. And the rest of you, have a great weekend.